Hey folks, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Today we're going to be talking about Ascendant Florets more in detail compared to the last video, as I didn't see this thread mostly at first, but it literally answers all of the questions that people might have about Ascendant Florets, and some people might not even read them, to be honest. So what we're going to do is what some people would call a comprehensive guide and analysis when it comes to these florets. Everything that you need to know here will be talked about, more or less. If you like this sort of solid video and want to see me do more of these possibly, or these weird live discussion sort of things without the whole sort of, banner trailer talk and anything like that, just to talk about stuff in general, just let me know in the comments down below. And if you like what you see here, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I guess you can hit that bell. I heard it makes a breath sound effect number 2 when you hit it for me. So before I elaborate more into this thread, I want to make sure that I go over 5 key notes that I have set aside that you really need to know. I'm going to elaborate more on them when they come up through this thread, but these are things that I want to make sure that are stated right off the bat before literally anything else, okay? So number 1, and this is not the most important thing to note, but this is something that's going to be really nice in hindsight, is that Ascended heroes will be actually joining the main 5-star pool after their banners end. This was something I noticed in the last video as well, at least in the banner trailer, to note that if Fjorm is actually going to be like exclusive to that sort of banner, like for example how Duo Ephraim isn't in the main pool, Fjorm and other Ascended heroes that come out in the future actually in fact will be in the pool. So there's this chance that you'll just be able to get them out of free summons or pities, which I think is really good to know. Because if you're a little bit on the fence of pulling on their initial banners, you at least have the opportunity to grab these units at another time, and you won't be losing out on them, which is probably the most important thing to know, is that these resources are more or less consistently available given what you want to do with them. The second thing that you need to know about these Ascended Florets is that you're not going to be able to whale for them. Specifically, if you're going to go for pulling multiple copies of Ascended heroes, you're not going to be able to get more Florets out of that. It's basically a 1-for-1 deal in that regard. If you pull one Ascended hero of a certain title. So if you're going to be pulling for one Fjorm, you're only going to be getting one Floret. And if you pull more Fjorms, you're not going to get more of them, I'm sorry to tell you. So if you're going for more Florets, you're just going to have to wait for other Ascended heroes to come out in the future. Number 3, you can only give one Floret to any given unit. Basically, think about it in the similar logic to Fjorm and why that wouldn't apply to any other hero as well. She's able to give herself her own Ascended asset, which is like just giving another unit an asset. So it doesn't really make much sense that any other unit can use multiple Florets to get more assets. It just doesn't make too much sense. So keep that in mind, that if you want to give more units more stats, it's only a 1-for-1 deal. Again, you're only going to be able to use one Floret to give yourself one additional asset, and that's it. The fourth thing to note is that you're going to be able to change your Ascended assets with trait fruits as well. I believe it's going to be the same sort of currency amount as well, with the 100 trait fruits per IV change. You're going to be able to all do it in the same system. So if you have a unit that has an Ascended asset and you want to be able to change that, you can change that along with the already existing asset and flaw and not have any sort of additional costs, I would imagine. But it's all going to be in that same system. You're going to be able to give yourself your 2 given assets and your 1 given flaw at any point, just, with trait fruits. The last thing that I want to note about these Florets is that they're incredibly finite, and you don't really want to hastily use them and want to regret it later, because you won't be getting any sort of compensation for getting rid of a unit that has one of them already used on them. So for example, if you want to get rid of somebody who had a Floret on use on them through like just sending them home, making them a combat manual, or using them for skill inheritance, you're not going to get anything back from them. The unit that gets that skill inheritance, for example, wouldn't get that Floret, and you're not going to get anything back just for sending a unit away. So just keep that in mind before you hastily use it on somebody that ultimately you don't think really needs it, or you have other units that would have wanted it more. So let's finally go through this thread, and I'm going to go through everything one by one and reiterate on the things that I already mentioned before, but just keep in mind of everything that's already going to go on. So right off the bat, you can already see they're going to be in new summoning events in the future as well, along with other new heroes, because they basically are new heroes. It's not like they have any sort of weird sort of thing that you can get, like legendary heroes, for example, or mythic heroes, or yes, duo heroes in this case. They're just like, somehow in the regular pool, I guess. It's a weird thing, so it happens. And I guess where is that along with that? Just keep in mind, though, that Ascended heroes are going to be coming in the future as well. I mentioned it already before, but I feel like it's going to happen to a point where we're going to get more like story people when it comes to like Leigh, for example, if she might get one at the end of the whole Ice and Flame thing. There's a chance that the Asker trio can get Ascended versions of themselves. Hopefully they somehow give that to us like free or whatever and give us more assets, just because really it's just more Florets in general, just because I feel like they're going to be an infinitely useful resource to have, and being able to spread that around to units that desperately need it. Because let's be honest, not every year 1 unit is going to get a Resplendent, so being able to increase their stats in some regard is going to help them out a lot. So if you can give us more of those on a more consistent basis, hell, even give us one for the book 6 OC if you really want to, because that would be cool. But will they do it? I don't know. It would be nice, but who knows? So when it comes to these Florets, obviously everybody knows that you're going to be able to get the new free one once the menu is finally in, which it notes that is going to be in by the time of recording. It's going to be tonight in like 6-ish hours, 7 hours in that regard. It's going to be there before the reset, obviously, because it has to update to get all the new stuff in. And it's probably not going to be like a new weird version update, so that's fine. It's not a big deal. It's just one simple menu, not a big deal. And like I mentioned before, Ascendant Florets can only be received once for each Ascended hero the first time you summon that hero. So if you try to summon multiple times, you're not going to get it. It just says it out right here. Simple as that. And even if you spark that hero as well, you're going to get that Ascended Floret if that's the first time you get them. And that's something I really want to note on as well, is because you at least have all these varied options of trying to get these Ascended heroes. Whether you somehow get them for a free summon, whether you try to just go for the spark and put in, I guess in this regard, I believe it would be like just 135 if you snipe everything and just get to 40 summons as soon as possible without wasting any orbs. You go for the spark and the Fjorm if you didn't already get her at that point, and there you go. There's your Ascended Floret as a bonus out of that. So that's your basically guaranteed way of getting it if you don't really want to wait around or don't get lucky, which I don't think is too bad. I like having the option of being able to get these sort of resources by at least some sort of system and where we can use our resources as is to get more of them. Yeah, it's gonna suck that you only really have to use 135 to really get them, but at least it's set at that, and that it's very consistent in that matter. The only inconsistent part is that you might get them beforehand, which, let's be honest, that's an infinitely net positive. It's just being able to get them sooner so that you don't have to use more orbs. I mean, maybe you'll go for the spark for another unit. Maybe not on this banner particularly, since, I mean, Malice and Wolf aren't the most sought after options, but they are a thing. So it's kind of just up in the air with what you want to do with them. But even if you don't want to pull, like I said before, they're going to be in the main pool after their main banners are done. So there's always going to be that option of really getting them. It just depends on if you want to put in those necessary resources to be able to actually get them. And that's what I think I like the most about it, is that it's very clear with what you have to do to get them, but it's not that you only have one path of being able to get them. You have a couple different options, and I think that's nice, especially when it comes to them being able to put this in the game and be able to incentivize the light spinning again even further. Celestial Stones kind of already did that in one way, so be able to give it for Florets as well, for an Ascended hero, for example. Because, I mean, that's the thing. You're going to be able to, if you spark for these Ascended heroes, you're going to be able to get a Floret and a Celestial Stone, and that'll just help with your further progress in that sort of regard. And I think that's honestly quite nice. So now we're on to the assets themselves, and basically, it's more or less the same sort of thing. You just go to the system and give somebody a Floret. And like it says already here, the note, a summonable hero cannot have their traits ascended more than once. Just simple as that. It's not too big a deal there. And I mean, it's not like you really need to give all these like units like multiple assets, because let's be honest, I mean, yeah, it would be nice, but they only really need 2 different assets and their most important stats, which is usually a pretty universal thing. People are either going to want like some sort of like speed, or maybe like attack, or maybe defense or res, depending on what they have more of and what they use more. It really just depends, but it's going to be a combination of the two, so it's not really a big deal. Heroes have been granted an Ascended asset, like I said before, with number 3. They can change their normal asset and flaws as well as their ascended asset at once through trait fruits. So, like I said before, I'm pretty sure it's still going to be the same price, the 100 trait fruits. So you shouldn't be really surprised there. But you at least had the option, which is really nice. And then here are the other like notes as well. Basically, the last thing I mentioned is that you're not going to be able to get any compensation for using them. So there you go. And then when it comes to what it also is going to have influence on, if a foe has an ascended asset, it's not going to have any impact on their scoring. I don't know if this is the case for yourself, if it might apply to giving you a bonus to your score in arena, you the player. I'm not too sure, but I'm sure somebody's going to be able to confirm that eventually. They also aren't going to have any sort of impact on dragon flowers as well, because that just doesn't really make sense as is. I mean, I guess it does ultimately, but why would you give it to a level 1 unit at that point? I mean, you definitely could, but it's not like it's going to change anything. Whatever those neutral sort of sets are, at least that along with the initial assets and flaws is going to determine that. So that's not going to really change anything with the impact on the order, so don't worry about that. And I guess they have the clause there for the team lock as well, if that really matters too much. I mean, I only have one team that's actually locked, and it's just for my arena scoring for arena assault and all that. But if you put it on one of those units, it's going to get automatically added, so don't worry about that at all. But I mean, overall, everything should really just sort of be answered here. And I think that the keynotes kind of already honed in on everything that you really needed to know. But hopefully, I guess, like, just looking through this thread, you'll be able to have any questions answered through that sort of thing. And I think just overall, looking at Ascendant Florets in a nutshell, just overall, I think it's a net positive to at least add into the game, to at least have as an option to be able to help out units that really need or could use those furthered stats. It's just going to suck that it's literally behind, not necessarily a paywall, but behind the resource value of needing to use orbs. But at least it's something that's guaranteed and something that's very consistent in what you can do, because it does, I guess, in a way, what's the word I'm thinking about? It's more incentivizing you for light spending as well, which has already been done by Celestial Stones and all that, for example. So being able to get all of these in some way from light spending, I don't think is a terrible thing, but being able to also have them consistently available along just normal pities and all that sort of stuff, and just having them consistently available in the main 5-star pool is nice as well if you don't want to go for any spending, which I think is the most important thing to note. You don't have to go for Spark to get these units at all and these Florets. If you don't want to pull, don't pull. There's always a chance that you can just free summon them later. And I mean, you have to think, these are also going to be on new summons as well, or new heroes banners. So you're always going to have the, basically, I guess, 5 free summons thanks to the 414 bond tickets. That's infinitely better than just the one, basically, YOLO pull free summon. You at least have more that you have a chance to possibly get another chance at these units. And that you need to know for a fact so that you're not screwing yourself over by pulling all these units and then losing all your orbs to an extent, or at least using however many orbs to try to get these units and not feeling too much satisfaction or value out of getting these assets. But being able to increase your stats like this, I think infinitely just helps it a lot. So there you go. I think that's all I really have to talk about here. I didn't really need to stop on with this rambling sort of stuff, but I mean, if you like these ramblings, just let me know what you think about them, how I can improve. I improved that. Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate you guys so much. Bye-bye.